Hey, you crazy cats! Welcome to Leaving Crazy Town, where we navigate the roller coaster of relationships, mental health, and personal transformation with humor as our trusty seatbelt.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and with my buddy Finn, we're here to share our real stories, expert insights, practical tips to help you break free from codependency, reclaim your life, and find freedom.
So whether you're wrestling with boundary issues, craving connections that won't ghost you, or just here for a front row seat to the wild ride of self-discovery, you've come to the right place.
So buckle up, we're leaving Crazy Town.
Hey, welcome to Leaving Crazy Town with Finn and Sarah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Leaving Crazy Town. Finn, what are we going to discuss today?
We're going to talk about being transgender in recovery.
Awesome.
Transitioning out loud in recovery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So where would you like to start? What would you like to, do you want to just talk about the experience of transitioning out loud in recovery, and then we'll talk about the challenges? And
well, first I'll just say that
Okay.
I'm transgender.
Yep.
And that I was in recovery for a few years presenting female before I transitioned to male. And I did all that surrounded by the same people in recovery, as well as some new people. So a lot of people in my recovery community witnessed all of my changes and have been a part of that. And I guess we were going to talk today about the challenges of that and maybe give some pointers because, you know, I've had a lot, like I've had a lot of interesting experiences stemming.
I'm just going to say this. If anybody pauses at doing the frickin' ninth step, you need to hear a couple of Finn's ninth step stories, okay? You will never be afraid to do a ninth step ever again. Okay, I just wanted to say that. All right, go ahead, Finn.
Yeah, more about that later.
More about that later.
Yeah, so one of the things that I totally spaced, that I was going to mention is, you know, you always hear, especially if you're in recovery, the preamble to some recovery programs, they change the words from men and women to people. And I have seen people get so enraged and angry about it, which in a sense, it kind of cracks me up because there are a lot of things that I felt were ridiculous that I've been enraged about, but men and women are people. So, you know, it became more inclusive and people don't understand that. But, you know, for me, it definitely is more inclusive. And yeah, so it's been an interesting experience.
Yes.
Listening to people and be rageful. The other thing I like to think about is the tradition where, you know, we don't engage in outside issues and the feeling of sitting in a meeting before it starts and listening to people talk about political issues, social issues, and really be, you know, either completely in the right wing or left wing about it and how that might make people feel uncomfortable, you know? So for me...
I have one other thing.
Yeah.
You know what's just hitting me? Around the code. Oh my God, I'm gonna start crying. Here we go. So how this relates to codependency to me is the whole core of codependency recovery is being who you are. Mm-hmm. And when we look back to when you really started to think about transitioning, this is what we were discussing in a codependency group. How we can be our true selves. So yeah. I'm just relating it to the beginning of your journey, and I'm almost crying.
Right,
So
and it was my codependency group that I first came out to.
Yes.
You know, besides my wife and Sarah, and then Sarah is always pushing me. So she's like, why don't you talk in the group about that? It'll encourage others. And I'm like, I'd rather die, but I did it.
Right.
You know, I can always muster up a little energy to share who I am and be open about it if it's going to help other people. You know, that's what I learned in my program. But to be honest with you, people in my recovery, strangers or close to me have been some of the most accepting and open people to my transition. My family, not so much. Right. But, you know, I expect people with a program to be, even though I have people who have come up to me and said, you're never going to be thin to me. I don't think transgender's a thing. It's wrong. It's a sin, whatever. And then within weeks have come back to me. And some are like, I don't think it's right, but I love you. And, you know, I'm like, fine. Do they need to tell me they don't think it's right? I don't think so. But I just let people be where they're at. And it has made my transition a lot easier. All right.
Yes.
That said, I wanted to talk about some of the challenges have been, you hear people just I guess a lot of people don't know in the that aren't familiar with people that are transgender or haven't been
Yes.
around it, that there's actually like an etiquette around that.
Yes.
And just a few pointers. I've had people in open meetings and in public like say, "What was your name before?" And people in the transgender community call it a dead name. I don't call it a dead name because I feel like that person got me to where I am today. But I also don't want to share it with people that don't
Right.
know it. It's not a public thing. And I've had people insist on knowing it. And I've had to walk through a lot of
You
fear and
have.
codependency to say, I'm not comfortable sharing that. And people, they have their opinions on that and whatever. I've had people in recovery run around telling everybody not to talk to me because I'm transgender. And then they share through the whole meeting I'm at about principles and practicing their principles. And, whatever. It's not my job to change or fix, right?
Nope, you're
And
right.
it's none of my business what people are saying about me behind my
Yes.
back.
Yes.
But I will say this. I don't know how easy it would have been for me to transgender if I didn't have a higher power. I hadn't had the desire to drink removed because,
Amen.
goodness gracious, I have tell myself so many crazy stories about what things mean or, what other people are thinking. And it's kind of a field day. Yeah, so asking questions, like, I know I'm sharing my experience and you could know other transgender people. Every transgender person's different.
Yes.
I've never felt as comfortable as I am today, but I also can feel very uncomfortable when people approach me with questions. But if I'm in a mood, I will answer any question someone has if they come up and ask me respectfully. Not a lot of people, transgender people, want to answer questions.
Right.
It's not right for people to tell other people that I'm transgender. Sarah and I have
Yes.
been through this a few times where she's told people I was
Yes.
transgender and then come and told me after. And I explained to her that's not okay.
Yes.
But here's some scenarios where it is okay. If it's going to be helpful to someone else, it's going to educate someone, then it's okay with me. And we've talked about it. We've talked
Right.
about it.
Right.
What are some
I
things
was
that
gonna
have occurred for you because you've been on this journey with me?
I know. I was going to ask you, what are questions that are insane that people ask you that people don't know are inappropriate to ask? Because you've said that too. Like, someone will ask you this question, you're like, you're not supposed to ask that.
Well, people will ask about my body. They'll ask about my transition. So there's 3 ways to transition: socially, medically, and oh goodness, there are 3, but I can't remember the other one. But we can medically transition or socially transition. Let's just stick with those for now.
Those for now.
And some people don't medically transition. They don't take hormones. They don't have surgeries.
Right.
They just live their life as who they are without actually changing their physical body. Some people have some surgeries and others. So to go up and ask somebody about whether they're medically transitioned, what organs they have or don't have, or what surgeries they've had, that pretty much across the board is inappropriate. I will say to my friends, I'm happy to talk about any of that.
Right.
I am not happy to talk about it in a large group. I'm happy to talk about it one-on-one in a respectful manner.
Right.
Because I find it fascinating, so I love to talk about it.
Of course.
In a safe environment.
In a safe environment. Yeah, I mean, the thing with the pronoun, I know, like, the thing with my relationship with Finn is, to me, I don't see him as the person he was before, because when I met him, literally, he started transitioning pretty quickly. So I just see him as Finn. Didn't have a relationship for 30 years.
Well,
with him.
it's interesting because...
So it's different.
And people, though, that have had relationships with me, I'm 56, people that have known me 50 years only see me now, too. They're like, I can't even remember, because they can see how I've come into myself.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, what? So the other thing is I don't know what everybody's preference is. My preference, if you talk about me pre-transition and coming out, I still want people to use the name Finn.
Yes.
Which Sarah does. Still want you to use he, him pronouns.
Yes.
Some people don't realize that. So they start talking to me using my old name. Right. And it's not really comfortable. So, but everybody's different. I can't speak for others.
Right, but the pronoun thing, I just want to say that caused a lot of conflict for a while, and I know some people have struggled with that, so maybe they have someone in their own lives. Why is it so important just for the general people to know?
Well, it's interesting. I do tell people because, I have friends, they end up feeling so bad. I use the wrong pronouns sometimes when I'm talking about myself, which is funny. I don't do it very often, but I can appreciate that somebody who's been calling me a she or her for 50 years might struggle to
Right.
transition that.
Right.
But it is very uncomfortable. And I so appreciate when anyone that's in my life pauses for a minute
Yes.
before they speak about me, because if it's all of my friends who know I'm transgender and they misgender me or they use the wrong pronouns, it feels uncomfortable and it makes me feel icky, but it's not as uncomfortable as if it's mixed company. So,
Oh,
especially in a
right.
meeting. So, I'm in a recovery meeting. I might have a friend or two friends there. They might share and say something like on my anniversary, and there's 30 people in the room that don't know I'm transgender. They're either going to think the person who's speaking is crazy,
Right.
or I have just been outed as transgender.
Right.
And that's really uncomfortable. It just makes me feel uncomfortable
God.
on many levels. But I also understand that we're human beings. And
Well, you know what, to me, we might have to do 2 episodes because we have too much to talk about for this, because I have so many questions now. One thing you shared with me, and also a mom of a woman, transgender female, who I talked to, explained to me, is this, which to me, I think I didn't know this, and I think it's so important for people to know this, is the fear that God, I'm gonna cry again. The fear that someone who's transitioned has of being found out in, like, with strangers or mixed company, because literally you can be hurt. I mean, people are killed. So, and I'm yelling, but I didn't get that severity of the fear. And can you speak to that at all? Because that's a huge one, like with friends of mine's daughters, and that, oh my God, what if they're discovered in someone who like hates a transgender person? They could harm them.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've heard of people being, well, killed, but
Right,
beat up
that's
in
what
the
I
in the
mean.
bathroom too, like different things. Like transgender people only want to use the bathroom. They don't want to like do anything weird in there. Yeah, so that fear, it's interesting that you were talking about it, because initially I was thinking about the fear of, so growing up and knowing, or like I didn't know I was transgender because I didn't have the words for it, but I felt defective and I couldn't figure
Yes.
out why I didn't fit in this group that I was
Yes.
assigned to. And I remember being told that I was a girl and not like, I didn't understand. And literally
Yes.
like my life ended then. And
Oh,
so, and then trying to keep the fact that I'm defective a secret for 50 something years, and then coming out, right? So, not only is there this fear of external stuff, if you've been experiencing fear your whole life of people seeing you're defective, and somebody, even though like we work through it, it's a work in progress. Like, how many people had fear of abandonment and thought, oh, it's resolved, and then all of a sudden you're in fear of abandonment?
Right.
So, feeling defective didn't just dissipate when I came out.
right.
And when somebody misgenders me or outs me, that they're exposing
Yes.
that stuff that I hid for so long
Yes.
without my permission in a
Yes.
situation that might be unsafe. And then on top of that, there is the violence. And
Yes.
clearly,
Yes.
you'd have to be like living in a cave to not notice
Right.
the the nature in the world around people with transition and the fear and with all the backlash and trying to
Yes.
shut people down.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
the other thing.
Oh my
did I
gosh.
answer your question?
Yeah, that totally answered my question, because I was gonna also, so the next question was, and maybe you've already answered this, what are the specific challenges you still have today?
One thing I do want to add about transitioning
Yes.
is the awareness that I used to go to meetings for women in Big Book Step Study and not going there anymore.
Oh.
And then so having this like female community in AA, because they always say men with men and women with women.
Yes.
And then the period of an early transition of not feeling like I had a space
Yes.
in AA. I didn't have a group.
right.
There are tons of men have been so welcoming to me, and I sponsor men now. I don't sponsor women anymore.
Right.
But there was this transition period where I was feeling a little out in the wind, not feeling like I belonged.
Belong anywhere.
Which is back to the people thing, which is why people's nice, because if you've got you know, if you don't identify as female, but then you have all these men saying that you're not a man and you don't belong, like, where do you belong if you can't go to open AA at least, you know,
Yes.
with the preamble or whatever? I don't
Right.
know. It
Right.
just, it depends on how, you know, how I'm feeling in the day, whether I feel comfortable or
Yes.
not. But,
Yes.
as I've been in the program as a man longer, like outwardly, then it's gotten more comfortable. But
Yeah, it is a transition.
so I don't know how much
Okay.
we're gonna cut out, but it's really long now. But I will talk about, in the beginning, Sarah talked about amends, and
Yes.
I was writing for the second time during my transition. And I went on a transgender AA meeting, sorry. And I heard a man talk about going to make an amend to his landlord. And he said that he went up to him and said, "Hey, do you remember that skinny crackhead girl that rented a room from you? Well, that was me." Now, this man was huge with a beard and everything. And he, you know, had to say that was me. And he went and he approached him to make his amend. And it was in that single moment that I realized I was going to have to go back to some exes and people, even my hockey coach who fought when I was a child to have a girl on the men's team, the boys team.
Yes.
I had to contact and make an amend as Finn. And I got to tell you, as it was downloading into my brain, the awareness that that's what I was going to have to do, I was like, why on earth did I decide to write again? Sheer terror. But I will say this, my amends are complete. And I did face all those people, and they were pretty epic. Yeah, those amends were pretty amazing.
Yes.
All right. I think that's probably it.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up and we're going to do, yeah, I'm not going to say that about future episodes. What I want to say is this. I'm so grateful for Fen. I'm so grateful he discussed this today. I feel this is like one of our most vulnerable, awesome episodes. And healing from codependency is loving yourself, accepting yourself, giving yourself permission to be who you are and really get in touch with what you need, with what you want, and how you want to express yourself. That's what healing from codependency is about. It's no longer needing other people outside of you to tell you who you are. So that's what we're about. We're about encouraging, supporting, and loving people into being themselves.
And I had to walk through transitioning and deciding to transition, even though my wife wasn't 100% sure she was on board with it.
That's
like,
right.
We talked about it, and we both had fear about whether or not we'd still want to be together. I mean, ultimately, after I started transitioning, she passed away. But it was a very pivotal moment for me to go to her and say, I need to do this, whether we're going to be together or not.
Yes.
And she was on board with my decision. But I was really scared because there's this one person that I love so much. But I got to say, take a chance on yourself.
Yes.
You know, I hear from a lot of people, I'm in an unhappy marriage. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. And fear has them crippled. We have one chance at being happy.
Amen.
Take it.
Take it. We're leaving Crazy Town. Fasten your seatbelt.
We're out of here.
Thanks for listening to Leaving Crazy Town. We hope today's episode offered you valuable insights and tools to help navigate your relationships.
If you found our discussion helpful, please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. And share it with a friend. Misery loves company, right?
Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for additional resources and updates on future episodes.
Until next time, remember that breaking free from codependency is a journey, and we're here to help you every step of the way. And hey, if all else fails, at least you'll have a few left.
So buckle up. We're leaving Crazy Town.